Welcome to the Gungeon. The only way out is to kill or be killed. Let's start off with these little bullets. I can hide behind tables, and I can gun them down. There are 2 guaranteed chests on every floor. One holds an item, and one holds a gun. In addition to the little guys, there are some stronger enemies that we will need to be careful of. If you break a chest, you may get a small reward for it, or you may get nothing, or it might blow up. And every floor ends with a boss fight. This time, it's against the Gatling Gull. I feel like his name should be pretty self-explanatory. He's a gull, and he has a Gatling gun. And I wasn't strong enough, so he ended our run. Now we have a better gun though, so this time will be better. Since we're much stronger, we cleaved through him, watched as his bird allies devoured him, and then we moved on to floor 2. The enemies are stronger here in the Gungeon proper, and we found our first NPC to help us out. I despise this enemy because it shoots tracking bullets at me. Since we found every room, we've completed the quest and earned ourselves a new item. The Dragun is our next boss. She spreads poison everywhere and shoots a lot of bullets at me. One of the easier bosses though, if I'm being honest. And now we can move on to floor 3. The enemies have gotten even stronger and even more irritating to fight. After supporting the local economy, I rode this minecart in circles before earning myself an item synergy just in time to fight the boss, the Mine Flayer. His trick is that he can turn into bells to hide himself from me, but once I found the right one, it was as good as over. Painful, but a successful fight. And now we've reached the penultimate floor, floor 4. You know the deal, everybody's stronger and everybody's a little bit more intimidating. Like this creepy floating head. After surviving a spider encounter with only 1 heart left, I wandered into a mini-boss room. I immediately rolled off the stage, and then I got killed, ending our run at Finalizing. And back into the breach we go. First up was the Bullet King. He's not overly difficult, but you do need to be careful of his Chancellor. I nearly perfected him, but I got hit right at the end, so on we go. And I found some locked up friends. If I can kill the Anaconda, I can free them. Sadly, that didn't happen, and the game just moved them up to the first floor. So, I killed the gull, got the key, and then I sent them up to the breach, before continuing on to another mini-boss. This magician is a lot easier than Finalizing, since he has a much bigger arena. And then I met this great monster. We'll worry about him later. I butchered the Dragun and earned my first master round for taking no damage against a boss. This potent artifact gives me an extra heart. The next floor boss was Cannonball Rog, who rolled around but couldn't handle the pilot's crossbow. Our first 4th floor boss, the Killer Pillars, were next. And they're just a group of 4 sentient pillars, who got a good few hits on me but weren't able to take me out. And it's time for the Forge, the final floor of the Gungeon. Massive chambers with a variety of traps and enemies in all of them. Such as this hammer that I didn't realize was just a trap and not something I had to fight and lose half my health to. I did my best to survive, but I got tricked by the bullet and died. I bought some new items from that robot that I just saved, and then I found my first red chest and earned myself a pretty good gun very early on. I shut down the fireplace, unlocked the hidden door, and risked using my lockpick in order to unlock myself a route to the oubliette. This secret area is obviously tougher than floor 1 and only has one boss, Blobberlord, the 4-star general himself. He's not a hard boss. He tried to escape, but as soon as he reformed, I ended him. I then got a key and freed this vampire lady right here, and then I took the elevator down to floor 2. I earned a master round from the Dragun yet again, and then offered some blood to this ominous statue. Another new boss emerges, the Dreadnought. This armored behemoth can destroy any cover and shoot rockets at me. I barely survived, but I did. I moved past the kill pillars and got back to the Forge, where the Legend of Zelda Wall Master shot me back to the elevator room, and I died shortly after. I then offered up some materials to the elevator repairman, as well as a little bit of cash. After which, I earned the floor 1 master round and donated it to him as well, allowing him to repair the elevator, giving us a free ride to floor 2, something that I am never going to use. I reached the Forge with the perfect combo, a crown that shoots dozens of bullets in every direction, with an item that lets me control individual bullet direction. So, as you can see, it's pretty broken. But it does kinda make it hard to tell which bullets are mine and which ones I have to avoid. At the end, we find the blacksmith, the shopkeeper of the Forge. She gave us info on how to create the bullet to kill the past. Before we can gather those though, we have to take on the floor boss, the ancient and venerable High Dragun. I assume you've understood the naming schematics so far. Thanks to my combo, there was really nothing he could do. I just poured bullet after bullet into him. He tossed some cool gun swords out, but I had no need to fight them, and just stayed focused on the Dragun. After he got mad, me and my allies' attacks couldn't do anything, but after dodging through the wall of bullets, he revealed his heart. I didn't finish him off, but after surviving that once again, we managed to kill him. Truly a one-sided bout. And by shooting his skull, I can grab the shell casing, which is the first item the blacksmith needs. With that done, I moved on to the astral realm and unveiled the gun that can kill the past. Without the bullet though, I wasn't sent back that far, but we've completed our first official run. And here is your monthly reminder to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what I do next. Click the button, I'd appreciate it. Thanks, moving on. Now, it's time to make the bullet. I got the arcane gunpowder from floor 3. On floor 4, since I unfortunately can't fly, I had to find the invisible path. By reloading, the discarded shells reveal where to go. If they fall, it's the chasm. If they land, it's the path. And on the other end was the planar lead. Our floor boss was Warmonger, who slowly moved towards me and got absolutely obliterated, allowing me to earn the floor 4 master round, an extraordinary artifact. I dropped the materials off and decided to kill the Dragun again. I did pretty good against him, but I wasn't able to receive the master round, and I shot myself back to the past. On floor 2, I bought the Prime Primer from the shop and brought it all the way to the forge since it was the last piece we needed. And luckily for me, I never have to collect those again since the blacksmith made an infinite number of bullets for us. Now, I'm a lot less powerful than last run, so I do need to be careful, but I whittled him down and killed him once he revealed his heart to me. And since I was careful, I managed to avoid damage and received the 5th master round. Truly, a wondrous achievement. With the bullet that can kill the past, we took aim and launched ourselves back in time. Back to our good old days of illegal space mining. Since we can't abandon our friend, not this time. It was time for a fight versus the HM Absolution. Luckily, we could dodge roll in our little spaceship. Unfortunately, their ship had 30 smaller ships. I was doing great, but then disaster struck. I managed to lock in and avoid all the bullets flying towards me and defeated the Absolution. And with that, we have officially killed the pilot's past and saved our pal Z. Next up, it's time to kill the convict's past. The gungeon itself isn't different for each character, so let's just head to the past, where we're greeted by a corrupt hegemony agent. After deciding to teach them another lesson, I gunned down his allies and then chased him down. And now, the fight against Black Stash officially begins. He's really not that scary. He just tosses Molotovs and calls in a bunch of extra agents. Things did get a little bit dicey once I ran out of ammo, but I kept myself safe and finished him off. And with him dead, we left in our Hotline Miami style exit scene. And with the convict's past killed, it's time for the hunter. The Dragun is dead, and we're headed to the past, over a millennium ago. We nearly got trapped, but luckily we blanked our way out, and started the fight against Dr. Wolf's monster. Whenever he gets buffed, I have to attack Dr. Wolf. Luckily, he's always nearby somewhere. So, after I blasted some bullets in his general direction, my faithful hound companion killed him for me. Her past has now been killed, and only one remains, the Marine. This is our first jammed boss, so he deals more damage, and as you can see, I don't have much health to spare, since I traded all my hearts for extra damage. I lost my shield, putting me one hit from death, but I dodged through the maze of bullets, twice, and then killed him, earning an achievement for killing my first jammed boss, so you know I wasn't lying. Our past was only 7 years ago, and rather than run to escape, we're going to the lab, where our next boss is waiting, the interdimensional horror. This fiend isn't too difficult to dodge, but I didn't realize he was poisoning the floor. His summons were much more irritating than the other bosses, and thanks to the poison, I was dealt my first defeat in the past, dying to some goop. I stopped by the elevator repairman on my next run since I earned yet another 4th floor master round, so he's nearly done. But then it's back to the Primodin R&D department. Sadly, I'm not able to escape, so it's time for a run back against the horror. I was doing much better than before, but it was still a close fight. I cut down his summons and just kept gunning him down, finally killing him right as he got me down to just half a heart left. A close fought battle, but yet another successful one. Other than the scientist, who's truly, really just dead. That guy did not survive. But other than him, everybody else lived. And we're a hero in the eyes of the hegemony. And, with his past killed, we've officially completed all 4 characters, which leaves us with only one task remaining. I want to complete the elevator. I went back into the breach, full of keys and quite wealthy. I destroyed the Mind Flayer. He went into his Belform to try and stave off death, but it was all for naught, and I moved closer to the forge. I got myself an item and then immediately sold it to the sewer monster that I showed you guys earlier. I bought a baby mimic to join me on my fight and took on the demon mortar. As I said before, he's pretty easy, and he went down without much trouble. Since I have 6 keys and $300, I begrudgingly gave them over, alongside 25 credits, to finally finish off the elevator. All that's left to do is end the run. So I approached and murdered the high Dragun, and I went to grab the gun, but before I could get there I was taken and dragged down to bullet hell. That's right, there's a secret 6 chamber where the final boss resides. There are a few new enemies here, and if I'm being honest, they were winning the fight. Yes, I may have killed dozens, but every heart of damage I take is a devastating loss. Bullet hell is massive, and after a few mistakes, I was down to just half a heart, which probably isn't gonna cut it against the boss. And here he is, the Gungeon Master himself, the Lich. I dealt a bit of damage before he summoned in these tombstones, who took me out without trouble. Let's take a short break from the Lich and head on to another secret floor. By selling a master round to the Great Monster, he'll give us access to the RNG department. The Bullet King here have dresses on, which is odd, and some enemies here shoot triangles at me. It's great to see the high level of research and development occurring here. It truly brings a tear to the eye. Anyway, the floor is pretty small, and enemies there aren't anything special, so it's boss time. Us versus Aghanim. He flew around in his helicopter, shooting bullets, missiles, and lighting the stage on fire. I couldn't manage to do much against him, and I died pretty easily. So, with that short break done, it's time to head on back to hell. I didn't do very well, and was killed. However, since I happen to have a clone, I respawned back at the start of the Gungeon, and I got to keep all my guns and items. This was my clone. So, now I have to replay the entire game, but I'm just heavily overpowered since, as you can see, the enemies aren't any stronger than usual. I cleaved through the Bullet King, and every boss after that as well, until I finally arrived back at the Dragun. I crushed him as well, and now I have this demon head for when I reload, which is pretty useful. So, let's head back into hell. Even the enemies here are now too weak to go against me, and the floating head. And with nearly full health, I arrived back at the boss. There are no chests or stores on this floor, so I can only use what I've brought, which is quite a lot considering I've done 2 entire runs at this point. Us versus the Lich, round 2 is here, and we are not going down without a fight. I used all my blanks already, so I'm gonna have to be pretty careful. I managed to avoid the rebounding bullets and took on the tombstones. I honestly don't know where he is, but as long as I keep shooting in this direction, he's gonna die eventually. And even though he's dead, I'm still trapped here. Oh, never mind, he's still alive, and he looks, pretty angry. Welcome to Phase 2. He's a big target now, and thanks to my ring, I'm immune to bullets. So I use this time to really lay into him. I could not seem to understand his attack though. Rather than avoid the bullets, I apparently tried to hit all of them. So now we're starting to run low on health, but I killed him before he could do any more damage to me. And with him dead, it's time to, oh, never mind, it's time for Phase 3. He's looking pretty stylish now, and he's a lot easier than his second phase. Other than the tendrils of bullets that he shot, everything else is pretty easy to avoid. I just moved alongside his circle, and he couldn't do anything to me, and without trouble, I killed him. And I mean that for real this time. I used the gun on the Lich, and officially killed the Gungeon Master, sending us back in time, and letting us watch as the Great Bullet hit the Gungeon. And look at how much stuff I had. We killed the Lich, we banished the evil, and we did great. And that's all. We entered the Gungeon, we killed our past, we defeated the Gungeon Master, and hardest of all, we completed all the elevators, and have therefore vanquished the Gungeon. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to see what I do next. Let me know what you want me to play next, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.